Hey, it's Joe. Welcome to the TestGuild News Show for the week of July 11th. This show is dedicated to helping you kick off your week right with all the latest in automation testing, performance testing, site reliability testing, security testing, and DevOps-related news you need to start your week off right. So grab your favorite cup of coffee or tea, and let's get started. The first piece of news that came across my desk this week was the announcement by Sauce Labs about the acquisition of Backtrack. If you're not familiar with Backtrack, they offer one of the best-in-class error monitoring and reporting solutions that enable organizations to quickly capture, prioritize, and resolve errors, thereby mitigating application risk. And Backtrack is very much like a safety net for your apps. So I think this acquisition is great news and is also an indicator of where the market is going, the skills you're going to need in the future. Obviously, Sauce Labs saw a need for monitoring as part of the portfolio, probably because of the needs they're seeing in their customers, and that the Backtrack acquisition is really an awesome complement to the front-end test automation capabilities that Sauce Labs already has, because the combination of both Sauce Labs and Backtrack is going to allow developers and testers to rapidly deploy code into development with confidence, ensuring quality throughout all stages of the software development lifecycle. The next thing that caught my eye around automation was this article on demand for IT contractors has been the highest level since March 1998. This is a UK news article. However, I think it applies worldwide for sure. And what really struck my eye when I dug into this report was, so if you look for the skills that were in short demand or in short supply, one of the ones that they show were in shortage were automation testing skills. So if you're not already involved in automation testing, or you feel like automation testing is not a good skill to have, this study just, I think, confirms that it is. And so it's just good news to know that the skills we have are in demand. I also like to look at skills that maybe you may not have, but might be a good thing to work on this year. Also, what I think is probably going to be a controversial topic, even though I'm not sure why. I'm open to any type of technique that's going to help me build better quality software faster. And even though I know a lot of times vendors will just pitch something as codeless automation, a lot of times it's not codeless. You do need to maintain it, obviously, but there are certain benefits to these type of technologies. And I just see them getting better, especially as machine learning gets better over the years. I think these tools are actually going to become more and more viable. So the recent article that caught my attention on codeless automation was, so when I Google things, a lot of times these type of articles come up, and I'm not sure how valid they are, how credible they are. But what I thought was interesting was this opening paragraph, and I think this is actually one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of companies acquiring other companies, is they're trying to integrate several automation testing offerings under one umbrella. So that's why you see companies like Sauce Labs buying a monitoring solution, or you see other companies like we saw last week, like Zebrana acquiring Carina, which is a framework, automation framework, open source. Or you see some companies like Grafana buying a performance tool like K6 or acquiring them. Is these companies more and more are trying to get like end-to-end solutions all under one umbrella. I don't know if you're a big fan of Mercury, but I'm a big fan of Mercury tools back in the day. And I think they sent the boilerplate that we're seeing now, having a company that comes in with end-to-end solutions for all your testing needs from the beginning, from requirements all the way to the end to production, through monitoring and all that. So I think it's just a big trend we're seeing more of. Now it's more with open source tools, but vendor-based companies are acquiring open source tools and plugging them into their ecosystem as well. So it's just something to be aware of. In codeless, like I said, a lot of times people are down on codeless. A lot of people are down on automation testing. Hey, keep your eyes open. Don't be a snob about any type of testing tool. Give it a try. See if it has merit. If it does, it can help your team build better quality software. Then use it. If it doesn't, then throw it away. And as I always say, as always, test everything and keep the good. And that's one of my mottos: is before you down something or before you put something down, check it out. See if it's for real. If it can help your team. If it can help your team, then it's a winner. If it doesn't help your team, then don't use it. So speaking of codeless automation, this is a good setup for the next article I found. So I know Salesforce just announced new release with that includes low-code tools for app development. So same type of concept, codeless, low-code, same type of family. Really interesting, though, is the article talks about how they actually use it. And Salesforce also has a solution built into their sales platform called Trailhead X. And the new platform includes low-code tools for interacting app development and automation, as well as new elastic computing, AI-driven data protection, identity management, and DevOps capabilities to help teams drive business outcomes fast. All right, now I was kind of on the fence about including this in this news show. It's kind of morbid, but I think it's really valuable that we think of this. It's not really automation related. However, I think it has ramifications for testers as they help their teams develop better software, especially as more and more teams start leveraging AI and machine learning. Kind of a disturbing article. So it talks about how a AI wolf developed a program, a character in a game or an app that someone in China created, preferred suicide over eating sheep. So this brings into all kinds of ethical issues if you think about ramifications or unintended consequences for software that we use every day. So say you work for healthcare and your team is starting to utilize AI machine learning. As a tester, you need to start questioning certain things that maybe people aren't thinking about. And I think this is the perfect place for a tester to be involved in because they usually have high-level understanding of the full end-to-end life cycle of the software and what users want, especially requirements and what requirements could do, but also what maybe people aren't thinking about behind the scenes of what testers are really good at. So check out this article. And so the reason why this happened is the way they programmed the AI, sheeps were awarded points based on the number of sheep. So basically the way they developed this is they train the machine learning or the AI by giving points for the amount of sheep wolf caught. But they noticed over time that hitting a boulder, if you couldn't get sheep in an amount of time, would give you less points off. So therefore, it would encourage you to kill yourself rather than try to continue catching sheep. So in this example, the AI cared more about how to optimize its performance mathematically, and as it's the case for almost all machine learning algorithms. So even though this may seem like a trivial case, I think you could see as a tester how this actually can impact your software or real users in important ways for real mission critical software. So it's something to keep an eye on as a tester, to be aware of as you start diving into AI machine learning type algorithms that you're testing software for. So in performance news, not a lot going on that I saw this week. I did see an interesting article on LinkedIn, however, talking about how someone did a comparison of load testing tools between Python and K6. Some interesting results. So if you check out the article on LinkedIn, you just go to the conclusion. And based on his results for his needs, he's saying Locust was much slower than K6. So what I like about this is rather than say one tool was better than the other without trying it, he actually tried it, did a proof of concept, and for his particular needs, he decided K6 was better for him. But for your team, maybe you're a Python-based group and it doesn't matter about certain speeds or certain concerns that he had for his particular project. So maybe Locust is the tool for you. Just something to keep aware of. I love how this also kind of shows a proof of concept type of approach of choosing tools for actually going all in on them. Now, security news. If you've been watching the news recently, a lot of times when you hear about cyber attacks or security issues at different companies, lately it has to do with ransomware. So I really like this article, how it talks about ransomware and how to avoid being attacked by ransomware. So this particular article goes over the different ways of how ransomware usually works behind the scenes, usually as phishing, and how you can avoid being a victim of ransomware. So you don't want to be the employee at your company that actually introduced ransomware into your software, into your company. So definitely check out that article and make sure you follow some of those steps of how to avoid being hacked. And the last piece of security news is on fuzzing. So I'm always looking for the latest techniques for any type of testing, and fuzzing is a technique that I'm getting more and more interested in. And this article goes over how. So why I like this article is it talks about all the different types of security testing and why maybe what areas may be lacking and how fuzzing can actually help with your security testing plan or security testing strategy. And it gives reasons for why fuzzing is important, what fuzzing is, and how to fit it into your software development lifecycle. So I highly recommend you check out that article as well to help you with your security testing efforts. All right, so that's it for this episode of the TestGuild News Show. If you have any news you'd like me to include in any upcoming episodes, all you need to do is leave me an email at news@testguild.com, and I will try to include it in the next upcoming episode. All right, so that's it for this episode of the TestGuild News Show. I'm Joe, and my mission as always is to help you succeed with all sorts of end-to-end automation testing. And as always, test everything to keep the good. Cheers.